Hey folks, I hope you guys have been well, or as well as you can possibly be. I haven't really been feeling like making any videos lately. Um, I get to a time or a point where I just feel like, I've said everything that I can possibly say about this same issue. Uh, and then, there are so many countless other anti-natalists on YouTube who discuss things, uh, more recent things in a lot better ways than I'm able to uh, articulate. But every once in a while, I have to come here and just voice a lot of my ranting, a lot of my inner frustration. And today is one of those days. So I figured I would go on and make a video and, entertain you guys with some content. I know a lot of you have said that you enjoy my channel, you enjoy listening to my voice, and I really do appreciate that. But today I want to talk about just the general glibness that is present in a lot of people and humanity in general. Glibness in terms of how they are so able to overlook suffering. They are so able to ignore suffering and think that suffering isn't some important thing that we should take time to consider. And it just absolutely disgusts me how people don't think about these things, like how bad suffering can really get. And, we can talk all day long about the different reasons for antinatalism, but it's just mind boggling to me that we even have to have these super long and ornate conversations about why antinatalism is important, when really, if humanity were a smart species, it would be as plain as fucking day why this philosophy matters. Because suffering is bad. Suffering hurts. Pain is bad. Pain hurts. And it's not something that's good. It's not something that you can scrape under a carpet and forget about. It's there. It's constantly in your face. And it feels like, you look at all the things that happen in the world and it's like you're not even living on the same planet, because people can see all the shit that you can see, but somehow it doesn't register why this is a problem. Why do I just can't get over that? Why do we need all of these long, super decorated arguments for something that should be so very simple? And it's like we're trying to reach a brain dead species. It's like we're trying to talk to a pile of fucking rocks, because that might as well be who we're talking to. Because it's not hard to understand this if you have a heart, if you have some kind of empathy about the effect of suffering, real suffering that's taking place in people's lives all over this planet, in the lives of sentient organisms all over this planet. Every single day there is something in chronic pain. There is something dying. There is something being devoured. There is someone or something being tormented. And it just doesn't bother people. They are so eager to dismiss all of this. And the reason that they are eager to dismiss it is because it hasn't kicked them in their ass hard enough yet. You can talk to any average person on the street and you can outline to them the real tragedies that happen in life and why they shouldn't feel comfortable putting their child through it. And they will literally stand there and give you every option in the book as to why they have a right to impose that kind of torture, why they have a right to think it's okay to put somebody through these things potentially. And it's not like we're saying that these things are absolutely going to happen to your kids, at least not all of them. But the fact that there are even real possibilities should be enough to put pause to even considering bringing children into a world where these things are real. These are real things that happen. Having cancer or getting ran over by a bus or some kind of debilitating accident and disease, mental pain, just the struggle of everyday living, having to pay bills, having to work until you're old and feeble just to hope for retirement, living a life of absolute wage slavery. These things are real. These are real topics. These are real problems that affect people. And they are just so flippant. Oh, well, I just want to give my kid a happy life. Oh, well, I just want to give my kid a chance to live and experience all the good things that I've experienced. First of all, good to who? And what makes these things good beyond the fact that they're there just to take away a pain or a boredom? Because that's all that our subjective goods really are, if you look at it. They're only good because they're relieving a deprivation of some sort. It's good that you have food because you don't starve. That type of thing. They're good in terms of what they prevent. They're good in terms of combating the natural bad states of life. That's the only reason that they're good, but they're not good in and of themselves. So you're creating a person to experience goods from the negative effects that come with life naturally. You're creating problems, and then you're treating problems with copes. And that's what people qualify as a good life. That's what they qualify as being good. My kid gets to eat so that they don't experience starvation. Because if they don't have the food or if they don't have the means, then all of a sudden they're going to suffer. But the problem is, again, they're playing this whole thing of, I have the magic crystal ball that says my kids are going to enjoy everything that I enjoy, or their lives are going to be just perfectly fine. There is absolutely no guarantee that any parent on this planet can give to their children that they're going to enjoy their lives, be happy, or turn out the way that they thought they would turn out to be. It just doesn't happen like that. There are nuances in life. There are things in life that take place that change people. Pain, suffering, these effects change people. You haven't lived out the whole experience to even judge whether or not that your kid's going to be excited for the whole thing. You haven't faced death yet. You haven't faced the grisly process that's probably likely going to be. But you're going to put somebody else on that. And I think a good analogy, one that I used on Facebook a few days ago, was about, imagine you're being dragged to a party, to a house party. And you get there and they lock the doors behind you when you walk in. A few hours pass and the effect has worn off. You want to go home. And you voice to the people there that you're ready to leave the party. And as soon as you say that, everybody turns around and looks at you like you're crazy. You want to leave this party? Why? You're crazy. Why would you want to leave? Well, too bad, you can't leave because you're stuck here, so you have to deal with it. So you realize that you've been kidnapped. You've been put into a situation against your will, and now you have to weigh your response to it. Whether you're going to, A, turn around and fuck up that house until you're able to leave, cause chaos, raise hell, or deal with the situation and just, continue to stay at the party because you don't have a choice and try to make it as best as you can, or attempt to jump out the fucking window just to get away from it. And that whole thing is relevant to life. We are all dragged into this shitty show and we are not given any option to leave it on our own volition. We have to go through all these extremes just to deal with this situation. And some people do choose to jump out the window, metaphorically speaking. And they can't be blamed for that. Why? Because they're not the ones who committed the crime. The breeders, the natalists, these people who think it's just a-okay to impose lives that they can't answer for when it goes wrong, they are the ones responsible. They are the kidnappers. They are terrorizing their own children and think it's a good thing because, well, everybody else done it. Everybody else seems to be enjoying their life. My kid's going to be just like everybody else. Everything's going to be perfectly fine in the world. So it's just this flippant attitude of suffering. And that's why antinatalism hasn't really taken off. You can give all the reasons why, but really what it comes down to is people just don't give a shit about real suffering. They haven't nearly thought enough about the bad shit that can happen in life. And it doesn't balance out. Because there is a cap with as much pleasure you can have in one experience. There is a cap for that. There is a cap for how much pleasure can be experienced by a person. And a lot of that has to do with your wealth and your economic status. You take that away, you don't really have much to work with. Your luck, don't have much to work with. So already there is a negative balance with the whole pain and pleasure thing, because unlike pleasure, pain and suffering is not only free, but there is no cap to how bad it can get. There is no measurement to stop it. There is no cap to stop it. Things can go infinitely wrong for a person at any goddamn time, and they can just get worse and worse and worse and worse until somebody is just pushed over the fucking edge. It happens all the time. All the time. People will have multiple diseases all the time, multiple accidents all the time, multiple problems, mentally, physically, emotionally. The torment and the pain that life can inflict on a person is literally endless. There are endless ways that life can torture somebody, but the fucking natalists think that that's okay to take that risk on the assumption that they might be happy. And they can't even properly define what happiness is. They know all these things are out here and exist, all this suffering and pain, but they don't think it's important enough to not even subject somebody to the chance of this shit happening to them. So they don't care. And which is what I find funny about it, is that these same people who are so flippant about suffering are losing their shit about the possibility of AI coming to awareness and fucking up humanity. I mean, absolutely wrecking humanity. They are scared shitless about that. Really. And it's kind of funny, the irony. They don't care that they're causing suffering. They don't care that they're creating suffering. But they're scared to fuck that they're going to get it back. You know, I make a joke like, if AI comes on and does the whole Skynet, I mean, how comedic would that be? Humanity getting a dose of its own medicine. But just remember that you didn't care that you were creating suffering. So when the shit comes right back around, just remember you didn't care. Remember how much you didn't care about suffering and how much you were able to write it off as somebody else's problem. Too bad. Deal with it. Remember that shit when it comes knocking on your fucking door. Because humanity is going to fucking get it. It's on the way. Humanity is going to get fucking wrecked. And I don't know in what way. I'm not necessarily a prophet here, but I can see the trend. I can see the events lining up for that perfect storm. Humanity is going to get its shit wrecked. And frankly, I couldn't care less. I care for the people who made the decision not to impose the risk of life. I care for my anti-natalists. I care for those people who decided that they're not going to have children because they can see that the suffering is just too great a price to pay. It's too great a price to gamble with somebody else's well-being. I care for you. I care for us. But for the rest of these motherfuckers out here who think it's just a-okay to plop in another life and see what happens, like it's just some grand experiment, and if they don't like it too bad, if they suffer too bad, fuck those people. I hope they can't get what's coming to them fast enough. They just can't. It just pisses me off how easy all of this is to ignore to people. Like suffering isn't a real thing. Absolutely mind-boggling.